This is ACC Nation, your source for ACC sports coverage. Connect with us at accnation.net. Listen to our podcast and streaming radio. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on your favorite social media outlet. Now, here's Will and Jim.
Welcome to ACC Nation. That's Will Ochanen and our special guest joining us from Cardinal Sports Zone, the podcast, and so much more. It's Jeremy Wallman, our man. Hey, you got to tell us. When I was thinking about this game between Louisville and Miami and how it turned out, I thought, gotta hear from Jeremy, because when it comes down to the juice, this is the man. So tell us, how did that one come across to you?
Well, first off, thanks for the amazing introduction. Way better than the one that Will normally gives me. Listen, I was the only person on the podcast. Let me take it back. On the podcast, on the website, and in the group chat that picked us to actually win this game. Now, Jeff Nunn will tell you, well, before the season, and to his credit, he put out his preseason game-by-game breakdown. He picked this score exactly and the outcome exactly right, which is something he never does. Wow. So he was quick to send it to me, and in return, I sent him his prediction from earlier in the week where he said we were going to lose 31-17. So I couldn't have been more happy with the way things turned out. I knew that if the offensive line would give Miller Moss the time to throw the ball, we could be successful. And I've been preaching all year that our defense, even though it's been against some inferior competition like EKU and Bowling Green, that we completely played top 10 defense against teams like Pittsburgh, James Madison, Virginia. And I know what you're saying. When you lost to Virginia, well, our defense only gave up 14 points. Our offense also gave up 14 points. So that's why we ended up losing that game. But our defense has been elite. And then you throw them in against Miami. You intercept Carson Beck 5 times. And again, I know what you're going to say. Well, there's only 4 on the record book. Well, yeah, that's because a bogus roughing the passer call negated number 5, or we would have had a 5th interception.
Bad game for Beck. Really bad.
Yeah. Well, and it was as good as it started off for Isaac Brown, him fumbling the ball there at the end. And I don't really blame him for that, because it was one of those good old-fashioned tackle, helmet to football hits. Those are hard to hold on to. And it's not very often you hit that plate right on the button like Miami did. So credit to them for being able to do that and forcing that turnover. I wasn't nervous. The most nervous I was during the entire game was after he fumbled that and they ran it back and eventually scored. But I knew our defense was going to turn up. I knew they were going to be able to. I think it was Desmond Howard said on the show yesterday that our DBs catch the ball better than most teams' wide receivers do, and he's not lying. We've had a knack for that this season, and I look for that to continue.
That was frankly, Jeremy, that game was just engaging. It was just a really solid college football battle back and forth between two very damn good teams. And, it says, I think, an awful lot about how the ACC has progressed football-wise this season.
Yeah, I think it's a prime example. And I know the first thing that people want to say is, oh, well, Miami sucks because they lost to Louisville. But I would say, in the words of the great Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. That really showed the nation how we could. And again, we've been showing it little by little all season. Our offense has had some troubles because we do have some decision makers that don't make the best decisions all the time. So a couple of these games, Pittsburgh, for example, we throw a pick 6. Virginia, throw a pick 6 and just quarterback toss it right to the other team for 6 more. The offense has been the worry, but I can understand why people would still be bullish on Louisville, even as an unbiased member of the local media here. I saw fans all day today. Oh man, that's crap. We beat number 2. We should be up to 15. And I would just say, well, look, the body of work shows we're 5-1. Maybe I could hear your argument for it, but with all the mistakes we've made so far, especially letting James Madison hang in as long as we did, letting Pittsburgh hang around as long as we did, playing with Virginia until they were finally like, look, you're not playing with us no more. We're going to take these points. We're going to score. Um, I could see why you were bullish, but I think this team, or I think this conference, is a lot better at the top than it has been in years past.
Yeah, it sure feels that way. I mean, we
Which
were
is
talking
weird
about
because Clemson and Florida State are normally in that top of the pack,
exactly.
and now they're back there watching the rest of us.
I think that I think that parity has come our way with NIL and the transfer portal. Will?
Yeah, Jeremy, something you and I talked about yesterday offline is the game plan that Braum had for this game because it looked different than any other game I've seen from Louisville this year. And we're talking about the all the wildcat formations, using multiple quarterbacks throughout the game, and I think it just really flustered Miami.
So first off, we do not call it we call it the wild card formation. We don't have nothing to do with any blue or cats here in the Ville. It's wild card. But no, I don't think I said this before on our podcast. Louisville has the last couple of, well, actually longer than that, but one of the things that I have seen under Coach Braum is that we play down to the level of competition sometimes that we're playing, but we always play up as well, which is why we've upset top 10 Notre Dame in his first year, upset top 10 Clemson last year on the road, and now again upset Miami, number 2 Miami on the road. We've got to shed that identity of playing down to lower teams because we did it with James Madison, we did it with Pittsburgh. All respect to you, all love to you. We did it against Virginia. We can't do that going forward. We've got a Boston College team coming into town Saturday at 7:30 night game. Everybody's going to be passed out and drunk in the parking lot. I don't even know why they're going to sell tickets to the game because that's how we do it here in the Ville. We play hard, but we party harder. And we have to. I messaged a member of the staff today and I said, look, this is all I want you to tell the boys. Treat every game like it's Miami. Because as a former Division I football player and high school football player, it's very easy to overlook the subpar teams. You don't mean to, you don't want to, but again, and I hate to keep using this example because our guy Will's here with us, but we literally sat there and played with Virginia for a half before we started turning on, and then it was too late because we'd already made it too many mistakes, allowed too many points. We fought all the way back to force it to overtime, and then people will say, well, the refs weren't very good in overtime, yada, yada. We shouldn't be in a position where one play made the difference in the game anyway. So I'm not going to hear any of those excuses, but yeah, man, it's just as soon as I saw that he was throwing the kitchen sink at them offensively, I knew that first drive that we were winning the game. I had no doubt in my mind. I saw he was willing to fake a field goal at the 10-yard line or wherever we were at, and I was like, we got this game. He's got them flustered. We also ran in a third quarterback multiple times for quarterback sneaks that were, what you would think he told. So here's one thing, and I know you didn't ask me this, but y'all know me. I'm gonna say it anyway. In his pregame radio show that he has every week there's a chicken joint here in Louisville called Roosters. I don't know if it's nationwide or not, but he does this weekly show, and in the weekly show he announced, I'm going to run multiple quarterbacks against Miami. And then later on in the show, he clarified he meant, well, certain packages. I don't know how wise it was for him to let Miami know that. I'm sure that got back to them, but they didn't do anything about it. It was almost like, oh, we don't know what you're doing. And we did it anyway. So, no, I saw multiple formations offensively I haven't seen all year. The defense, multiple formations I hadn't seen. And they had it figured out. I mean, Ruben Bain was their all-world player. Almost didn't even realize he was on the field. So I loved it. I loved what I saw from Coach Braum. Last night, Friday night showed exactly why we hired Jeff Braum to be our coach.
Good
I don't
investment.
know how this defense keeps doing it because they're number one in pass defense again. They really stymie, and we talked about it earlier. The day Carson Beck had, yes, you're right. It should have been 5 picks. That was a terrible call, and I'm not just saying this to kiss your ass. I thought it was a bad call, but and it's not like they have a lot of household names. They just really good, and they play in a system that fits what they're good at.
Yeah, and I want to give all credit to Miami. They've got a running back. Listen, we held them to like what 60, 70 yards rushing for the day. We, we thought our run defense was our strong point heading into the season. And it was actually both that showed up to win this game. But um, I'm hoping that in the portal this upcoming season that running back, I think his name's Fletcher, and Tony, the receiver, somehow makes their way up here to Louisville, or as we like to call it, Miami North. I think I'm going to start a petition tomorrow to change the name of their stadium to Card Rock Stadium since we're undefeated there under Jeff Brom, or maybe Brom Rock Stadium. Not really sure, but though that offense is an amazing offense, and I really don't think it was that Carson Beck sucked. I think it was our guys were just a little bit better than he was that day. I think he's going to throw for 300 yards this week. I think they have Stanford this week, and Miami's going to be mad. And whoever they're playing, I believe it's Stanford. I remember looking at it and being like, "Oh, they should beat them by 30." They're going to get an angry, teed off Miami team, and that Miami team is probably going to go for about 350 yards through the air and 150 on the ground. Like their offense is impeccable. We just happen to have some guys out there that could take the ball a little bit better than they were able to throw it passes.
So, Jeremy, there's only two games on this list that I'm looking at on the schedule that raises a little bit of a red flag for me.
Okay.
The first one isn't until Saturday, November 22nd, and that is when you're going to go to Dallas to take on SMU. And of course, the last game of the regular season, which is on Friday, November 28th, when,
Oh man,
whoever it is you say I'm not supposed to mention
that's
comes to
crazy because
visit
I had a
you.
different game in mind that I was kind of worried about, and it definitely wasn't them
Which
jokers.
one is it that you're thinking about?
So I think first off, let's address the SMU game.
Okay.
Absolutely concerned about that game. Dallas is a tough place to play. They've got great fan support down there, and a team is electric. Now, are they more electric than Miami? I don't know. Can we play the same way every game going down the stretch like we did against Miami? I don't know. Going into that Miami game, our weakness was supposed to be the line, and their strengths were supposed to be the line, and our lines absolutely, uh, for lack of a better word, titty twisted them all wherever they wanted to. Am I allowed to say that on the show?
I think you just did.
Okay, I think I just did.
Yeah.
They just had their way with their lines, so it's hard for me to say. But if you told me you've got to be concerned for two games, that would be one of them, and the second one is just because they've had our number in the ACC. I don't care how bad you are. If you have a name like Florida State or Clemson on the side of your helmet, you're still playing you're still playing that institution, that brand. Clemson coming to Louisville on a Friday night, and again, I know what you're saying. You guys are pretty daggone stinking good on Fridays, Thursdays, and Friday nights. A home, away, or neutral sites like Card Rock Stadium, y'all are pretty good there. So you probably shouldn't worry too much. But at the end of the day, Clemson's still on the side of the helmets. Dabo's still on that sideline. Uh, I believe we'll win that game. I'm more confident in that game than I am the SMU game. But I predicted 10-2 before the season started, and it's looking pretty good right now.
So now, tell me, what is your thought about? Is this a team that's going to end up in the college football playoffs? Yes or no?
That is a great question. I don't. And my honest answer is I don't know because again we talked before the show started. The projections, first projections have come out, and I believe the first poll comes out this Tuesday. Is that correct, or is it next Tuesday?
No, it's November.
Oh, it's not till November.
Right. It's
I think
Okay.
it's first,
Tuesday,
right,
November
first Tuesday in November,
2nd.
right?
Okay.
That's when the CFP
Election,
ones.
election day. Yeah.
So okay, a couple weeks from now. My bad. Um, but anyway, the first projections came out. Maybe that's what I was thinking of today. We weren't included in it. We weren't in the first four out. We all know wins and losses are going to change those projections. If we can do what we did against Miami going down the stretch, yes, we'll be in the college football playoff. If our if our offensive line and QB revert back to the first four games, uh, then no, we won't. I'm a honest, I'm a fair guy. I have to see more of a sample. Right now, the sample size that I go by are the first five games where the offensive line couldn't keep Miller Moss protected. Our defense was fire, but our offense was a little bit still a really good offense, but spotty at times. I mean, the dude still threw for 350 yards, I believe, against Virginia. Had great touchdowns against them as well. But if that O line and Miller Moss shows up, we'll probably go 4-2 to finish the season. If what we saw last night, last game, which I believe is really special, if we get that Louisville team the rest of the way, ACC championship game, the Cards will be there.
Interesting. All
Yeah.
right. Well, sir, hey, I appreciate you giving us a couple of minutes of your time because, like I said, we were hoping to sneak you in for about 15 minutes and just get your impression about how that game went. I think we got it. I think we got. There's a lot of stuff, unfortunately, that is said off the air that I sure wish we could deliver sometimes, but maybe it's best if it stays right.
Well, I think from now on, whenever I log in, you should just hit record, and then we'll start our show. You can start the show when you want to start it, and then go back and get the B-roll together and put it out on YouTube too.
It's going to be a lot of B-roll, I can tell you. I've done that in the past, Jeremy, just so that you know.
Fair enough. I mean, but with me, I'm the rating spike. I am the needle mover. I am him. You should have done it from the jump.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Will acknowledge me.
That's what I was doing.
Okay, making sure.
All right, Jeremy Wallman. Thank you so much, sir. Be sure to check out Cardinal Sports Zone podcast because it is a blast. Those guys know what they're talking about. A lot of fun guys having a good time talking sports. And every once in a while, they have somebody like Will come on.
And Martin.
And his dog. He's little.
I would use that loosely. The experts part, I'd use that loosely. It's me and a bunch of dudes, pretty much, as McFarland said about Lamar Jackson and his Louisville team.
Fair enough.
I mean, Sean's on the show, Higgy's on the show. It's almost like we're one stooge short of the Three Stooges. So
I think you may be like 4 or 5 past that.
Your co-host talks to his dog. I don't want to hear anything.
I just try. All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate you guys as always.
Thanks, dude.
Appreciate Jeremy Wallman stopping by, talking a little bit about how it feels from the perspective of First Media and a fan and a former player on Louisville's team, how it feels with that big win, Louisville over Miami. Let's talk a little bit about that, Will. In the games that we had this past week, boy, huge upset. Louisville 24, Miami 21.
I think Jeremy was a little excited about that, and got it just a hunch. Yeah. And we covered a lot in that interview about the game, like the game plan Jeff Brom had coming out using the wildcat card or whatever, or the multiple quarterbacks and formation, in the formation. He used like 3 different quarterbacks during that game, which reminded me a lot of what 2021 Virginia used to do, when they would trot out like 3 quarterbacks in one play. I don't know, it was weird stuff, but it worked.
It was effective, though, man, because when you watched it was effective.
Exactly.
And, they were just coming at Miami full tilt, full tilt.
It, like I said in the interview, it really flustered him because this is stuff they didn't have on tape. They basically saved it up specifically for this game, and it really worked to, 113 yards from Isaac Brown. Chris Bell, somebody I would have loved to ask Jeremy about, but we only had so much time to do it. 9 catches, 136 yards in this game. if I did the math correct, he's like 31 catches in the last 3 games. Like this is like all ACC first team type run he's on. They held Miami defensively to 63 yards on the ground and forced 4 interceptions that counted by Carson Beck. There was a fifth, but again, it was a bad call. But that was an impressive win going into Hard Rock and beating a Miami team that a lot of people thought had some national title inspirations. And let's be real, they still do. It
I
ain't
think
over
so too.
yet.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. I think Miami, you know, look, we're midway through the season, and we're seeing teams across college football stumbling left and right. We've had this since the beginning of the season. Texas started out as number one, and now they're struggling to beat somebody like Kentucky. So,
Mhm.
you know,
We can
uh,
say that now that Jeremy's off
yeah,
the.
yeah. So,
No, there's no reason Texas should be struggling to beat that team.
no, not at all. But this is the thing. Miami, I think, is still very much a solid team. You can go, well, they lost to an unranked team. Well, I think that Louisville should have been ranked prior to this, based upon performance. But Jeremy pointed something out, and I guess this is why they weren't ranked. Is that you have this sort of topsy-turvy schedule leading up to this that really didn't give you any kind of an idea what type of team you're dealing with. And then we saw it all laid out on the field against Miami. Now we know. Now we know what they can do, what they should be doing. Let's see if they can continue to do it. Let's go on to this next game. It was another weed whacking ACC game. Cal pulling out a 21-18 win over North Carolina. Poor North Carolina. They just do not have. Nobody's giving them a break, and but you got to earn it, right? Cal earned the win.
Yep. I mean, this was not a very exciting game. I made it 1 quarter myself. I could not make it any further, but this is what happens when you have teams in the West Coast playing teams in your conference now. This is the life. But
That thing
I
ended
mean,
up at like 2:15 or something like that,
yeah.
Eastern time, and I'll be frank. I went to bed. I said,
Mhm.
"No way am I staying up for
Mhm.
this." But I woke up at 2 o'clock to check my phone to see what the deal was, and kind of watched it tail off. So
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of offense in this game. Cal outgained UNC 294 to 287. The difference in this game, UNC turned it over 3 times, including a fumble at the goal line that would have given UNC the lead late. And
ugh.
man, so close to that first conference win for Belichick, and yet so far away. And player of the game to me was Jacob DeJesus, the Cal wide receiver, at 13 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown this game. And it felt like, in the short time I actually watched the game, it felt like he had the ball in every play. So that really checks out.
Speaking of ugly, let's go to this next one. UConn 38, Boston College 23. I don't know what's up with Boston College, honestly. Um, and you pointed out last program, UConn's getting better. The entire program is getting better, and it's a team to watch out for. In fact, I think you even pointed to the fact that this team can knock off Boston College, and I I wasn't totally sold on that. And man, I watched this game and I'm going, man, Will was spot on this game.
Yeah, Jim Moore Jr.'s done a really good job at UConn. I think they're probably going to go bowling again this year. The story of this game, BC gave up 455 yards, and Grayson James, who started in place of the starter, Dylan Lonergan, was sacked 7 times in this game. Now, Boston College is 1-6, and
Mm,
I thought they had a chance to go to a bowl this season,
yeah,
and yeah,
no,
that's not happening.
ain't happening.
They might win once or twice more this season, which is very disappointing. Yeah, not a lot to say about this game, really.
Another game that raises some questions, and I think rightfully so. I'm a little concerned. I know that when we were speaking with our guest Jeremy Wallman about this, and you know he raised some questions about Georgia Tech, and I'm beginning to feel that too. It's like, I'm waiting for that fire that I felt at the beginning of the season. You know, it's like Haynes King is not in rhythm, and things are just not clicking, all together for Georgia Tech. And I don't know what's happening there. This game, of course. Now, look, let me be frank. Anybody thought this was just going to be a blowout against Duke? No. Duke is a good team. They haven't gotten everything together yet. They made some critical mistakes in this game, and that's why they lost. But they were awfully close to pulling off a surprise win here. Georgia Tech pulled it out at the end, 27-18.
Yeah, as I said on our TikTok on Saturday, this was probably Georgia Tech's biggest test in terms of talent, the rest of, at least the rest of the conference season. We're not talking about Georgia at the end of the season, but Duke really shot themselves, pretty much shot all five toes off of one foot in this game.
Yes.
They fumbled at their own 6 yard line, I think it was, or was it, no, fumbled at the Georgia Tech 4 or 6 yard line. It was returned for a touchdown, like 94 yards.
Mhm.
They had a bad snap on a field goal. They missed a field goal. So that's 13 points right there.
Yep.
So it's just Duke has had a habit of making mistakes at bad times throughout the season. And like Duke outgained Georgia Tech 238 to 110 in the first half, but it went to halftime tied at 7. That's just how the game went. Georgia Tech scored 17 unanswered to ultimately pull away and win this game. Haynes King, 325 total yards in this game. He ran for over 100, which it was the most Haynes King stat line there can be. And then Darius Minson in the loss had 373 yards. Like Duke is a good team, but like I said, they just can't seem to can't seem to get out of its own way.
Something missing. Something's not clicking there, and I don't know if it's personnel or the way that stuff is being addressed by the coaches or whatever it is. And it's so close, you can just feel it. You know, Duke is a good team. They have been doing stuff this year that has been amazing, and then, like you say, they just blew off all five toes. Let's go to the next game here. SMU over Clemson. This was a big win for SMU. Rhett Lashley was talking about how much he respects Dabo Swinney and this team and this tradition and the program, but he also talked about how critical it was for them to come in there and to have a win against a premier ACC team such as Clemson, who they played in the ACC championship last year, lost to. This was a huge win, 35-24 in front of the hometown crowd, who, by the way, from all I could tell, thank you, Tigers fans, for staying in the stands and supporting your team until the end. That's the way it should be done. Okay, you did a good job, and I didn't see a whole lot of people leaving early.
Yeah, I don't think when we picked this game last week we didn't know at the time Cade Klubnik was hurt, and it turns out he's hurt and missed this game. Chris Vezina started and he actually looked good, threw for 317 yards, 3 touchdowns. The problem, Clemson still can't run the football. 30 carries, 35 yards in this game. That's 1.2 yards per carry. And my math tells me that is not good. Kevin Jennings was banged up in this game, but still threw a couple touchdowns. And
Yep.
here's the question. With what we've seen from Clemson, do we know if they're going to make a bowl?
Wow. Yeah, that's
It's a deep
wild
question.
thing to think about, to be honest with you. Eric McLean, who I absolutely love watching him on TV, on the
Mhm.
huddle and whatnot. Former Clemson player, posted something on Twitter that you know I almost felt initially like he was taking a shot at Klubnik for not playing, but he responded and said that that's not what it was about. But boy, he really had a valid point though, in regard to when he was playing, having a quarterback that was injured and still found a way to get out there and to deliver. That's what Jennings did for SMU.
Mhm.
So, you know, again, what's going on?
Yeah, so here's the final 5 games for Clemson. Okay, they're on the bye next week. Uh, Duke at home, definitely losable. Florida State at home, who the hell knows at this point?
Yeah,
At Louisville, that definitely losable. They'll be an underdog there. Furman at home, they should win. At South Carolina, yeah, South Carolina is not very good this season, but it's at their place.
right.
Definitely losable. I mean, it's not it. They're more than likely going to a bowl, but it's not a given.
Yeah, it isn't. And yeah, when was the last time we actually said or thought that? It's been a
Been a
long time.
while.
Yeah. Um, wow. Anyway, our next game up, Washington State came in and basically did the same thing that Louisville did to Miami. They just threw everything but the kitchen sink at Virginia. I think caught them off guard completely and just had this game locked up. But as I always say, the true measure of a championship team is always they find a way to come from behind and win games, no matter how bad it seems. 22-20, the final, Virginia over Washington State.
There's no doubt in my mind for 3 quarters, Washington State was a better team. They played it in every facet. Like they got the big plays on offense on the third downs or whatever when they needed it.
Yep.
When Virginia was trying to they would try to get momentum, Washington State would just take it right back. Fourth quarter came along, Virginia outscored Washington State 12-0 and outgained them 126-8. And I think a lot of that had to do like that was one of the more raucous crowds. Like when the game got into the fourth quarter, that was one of the most
Yeah.
raucous crowds I've seen from a Virginia game, probably since the Tech game in 2019, the game that decided the ACC Coastal RIP. Because they just Washington State was kind of in its own head again, using the key word flustered. They were flustered by the noise of the crowd because they kept false starting and all these penalties. It just and then making mistakes like fair catching it at the 1 yard line, which ended up leading to the game-winning safety. Um, yeah, it was just
Unbelievable
weird.
stuff.
Yeah. Virginia only had 301 yards of offense. So I do have some concerns about the way this offense has gone because this is 2 games in a row they've been a bit sluggish. Nevertheless, Virginia 6-1 for the first time since 2007,
Yep.
bowl eligible for the first time since 2021, and hopefully there should be this time they should actually play that game. Remember 2021 there was the game was canceled due to COVID, so it'd be the first game they'd actually play since the 2019 Orange Bowl.
Yeah. One of the things that kind of blew me away is that sometimes you can see momentum change in games and it becomes very obvious. I don't know what it was. All of those players on that team on Washington State, tough. I mean, hard hitting. They were going at it full blast. And it just struck me that this team came in, the adrenaline was pumping because man, they were taking it to Virginia. They really were, and they were winning that game as you point out for 3 quarters, and then about the end of the third, the beginning of the fourth, you could just see like it was just stuff changed. And you talk about the noise factor. Congratulations, Virginia fans. You packed Scott. And it hasn't seen that in years. That was fantastic on your
Mm-hmm.
part. It ought to be done every week. That was a great environment, lots of fun. People enjoyed themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and you came away with a win. But
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that adrenaline high that Washington State had, adrenaline is only going to carry you so far, right? So I think that that plus the fact that, they were just going at it full blast, full tilt, you run out of energy, you know? Your adrenaline drops off, your energy level drops off, the noise becomes a factor, and it's just like you're lost. And at that point, that's when you saw Virginia take that game and they took the momentum and it ended up a win. It's just crazy game the way that ended.
Hmm.
Just
And what did I
absolutely
say
crazy.
last week, Jim? Like they couldn't lose a game like this. If Virginia football wanted to build any momentum, like consistent momentum, they can't drop a game like that. And somehow they found a way to win. And um, yeah, they need to keep doing it and not laying an egg for 3 quarters.
Yeah, it was fun to watch from one perspective, and then on
Hmm.
another it was not. Pitt, they definitely have their quarterback. Oh my gosh, this guy is just. Uh, he is, if he sticks around with Pitt, he is going to take that team to places, and they're going to be a real challenge for everybody. Pitt over Syracuse, 30-13. Now, granted, Syracuse is without Angeli. That sucks so bad that Angeli got injured because man, what a quarterback! And I will say that for the rest of the season, that dude had it going on. But now we have another quarterback, a freshman at Pitt, and they good game.
It was a sloppy game because of all the penalties in this game.
Oh well,
Pitt had 13 penalties for 114 yards. Syracuse had 12 for 107 yards.
there's never any
That's
excuse for that.
200 over 220 yards in penalties, which is almost what one of these teams had in offense. There was not much offense.
Yeah.
Uh, Syracuse actually sacked Heinzel 7 times, and it was interesting because Heinzel really hadn't faced a lot of adversity these first couple of games, and he finally did in this weekend. I thought he showed a lot of maturity
Good for him.
in that sense. But said Ricky Collins, Syracuse quarterback, threw 3 picks and was benched in this game, and we're just going to have to play the what if with Syracuse because yeah, and Jelly was doing some great things before he got hurt, and
Wow.
now they're just floundering without him. And
It's
again, a great win for Pitt. We were kind of wondering where this program was going, and I think they found their future in Heinzel.
good stuff. Some craziness with Florida State again. Um, man, and we keep talking about coaches that are losing their jobs. We had Napier down at Florida. Boom, gone. Um, it's like everybody and their brother is bailing on their coaches. The situation in Florida State is you've got probably several coaches before who were let go and are still owed money. And then you have this big chunk of change that you would owe Norville if you got rid of him. Where's that money coming from? And this is a dilemma. Stanford with a huge win, to be honest with you. I mean, this has got to be pumping up Stanford big time, pulling off a 20-13 win over Florida State. And I, were you the one who sent me something about the tree, or it was Chris? Okay, never mind. Uh, Appropriate.
The sequoia tree.
Yeah, it was very
Yep.
appropriate.
Yeah, that we're gonna keep that off. It's
Yeah,
not
we will.
family friendly.
Not at all.
Yeah, both quarterbacks were hurt in this game. At one point, uh, Branson was left earlier, replaced by Elijah Brown, who I mean, they've said a lot of good things about him. Castellanos was knocked out late on a targeting call. He was replaced by Kevin Sperry, a freshman himself.
Yeah.
Like the thing of this game, Florida State outgained Stanford 444 to 293 and still lost because they had committed 13 penalties. Good God. And the end of this game, God, that was just, I have never seen so much just wildness in a football game.
Hmm.
Let me read this off to you. This was the final 2 minutes. Florida State turned it over on downs. Okay, Stanford couldn't do much with it. They punted. Florida State completes a Hail Mary, but it's short, and then the clock hits zeros. Then the officials add 2 seconds back. They botched the snap in Florida State and then threw an incompletion, but a pass interference was called, which means you get an untimed down. And if Florida State throws a shovel pass, they rule it shorts, and they couldn't go. And I guess they were having technical difficulties at like 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern, so they couldn't do a live feed of the replay. Yeah, everyone's sleeping. But I don't know if there's conclusive evidence one way or the other that he got in. I've watched that play, I don't know how many times, and I just don't know because
You talking
there
about
was,
Chuck, right?
yeah, there was a butt in the way.
I don't think he. I don't think he. Based upon what I saw, and I had no context whatsoever.
Mhm.
I actually just saw the play without any audio. Did not know what it was. I just saw it, and I'm going, doesn't look like it. Didn't look
Yeah,
like.
no matter what they called there, it was going to stand because there was no evidence to turn it over one way or the
Yeah.
other.
Sorry to be, for you Knowles fans. Sorry to say that that was my opinion. I mean, I saw it without, like I said, without any context. I just saw it, and I was like, I don't think so. But anyway, good win for Stanford. Not a good loss for Florida State. I don't know what's happening there, but I guess we'll find out what's going on down the road here before much longer. Hey, standings wise, Georgia Tech is the leader in the ACC in the conference wins at 4-0. Virginia 3-0, SMU 3-0, Pitt 3-1, Duke 3-1. Louisville is at 2-1, Cal 2-1, and Miami 1-1. Overall, Georgia Tech 7-0 going to a bowl. Virginia 6-1 going to a bowl. SMU 5-2. Pitt 5-2. Duke 4-3. Louisville 5-1. Cal 5-2, and Miami 5-1. But we have uh, a lot of great teams here at the top who are really playing some super football. Let's real quickly talk about what's coming up so that I can let you go join the guys at All Sports Discussion and talk about some sports there with them on another podcast. You will also hear that on our streaming later on streaming radio, or you can listen to their podcast.
Mhm.
So coming up, we've got Cal at Virginia Tech, 7:30 ESPN. Um, what do we got here, man? Another one of these, yeah, not sure.
The old Will Waggle.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where I feel like this game's in Blacksburg, and say what you want, that's still a hard place to play.
yes.
I feel like I think Cal's not played very well the last few weeks, and I have some concerns about that. Kind of like I feel maybe it's like Sakabotelli's hit a freshman wall or something, but I'm I hesitate to take Cal in this game. It's one of those like 51-49 type things. I just I just don't know how much I trust Virginia Tech right now.
Just we'll
Yeah,
just call it an even shot
the
here.
Will Waggle.
Yeah, because I'm in the same place. I everything you just said. So we'll see how it plays out. So that's on Friday night. Saturday, we've got a couple of nooners. We got three. Syracuse at Georgia Tech. That's on ESPN. SMU at Wake Forest on the CW. And Virginia at North Carolina on the ACC network. First, Syracuse at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, the only thing I'm interested in on the Syracuse side is who starts for them. Are they going to go back to Collins, or are they going to bring in the other kid that finished out the game? Georgia Tech should win that game.
Yeah. SMU at Wake Forest.
This could be a low-key good game, y'all. Like SMU is, yeah, they're one win away from bowl eligibility. Have yet to lose in the ACC in a regular season game. Obviously, they lost the ACC championship, but they've yet to lose in conference play. Wake Forest is plucky. I I'll take SMU to win this game, but don't be surprised if this is like a one-score game late.
I will agree with you on this being a really tight game. It's at home, Wake Forest, and they gave Georgia Tech a run for their money. So it's not as if they're not capable. SMU has been evolving and coming into their own. I would pick SMU as the winner here. So that's where I'm going to go. The next Virginia at North Carolina.
Yeah, we need to see Virginia's offense kind of pick back up where it was, basically from before the Louisville game, like the FSU game backwards. They need to be more like that again. I'll take them to win on the road and in the South's oldest rivalry.
This could be a trap game for Virginia, so be very careful here. Virginia, I think, takes this one. This next game I absolutely love, and this is my pick of the week. NC State at Pitt, 3:30 on the ACC network.
Yeah, not a great slate of games. This is probably the best one. I'm gonna take Pitt because I just what they found they've struggled with Heinzel, it feels like. And I just don't trust State's defense right
Right.
now.
I'm going with Pitt just because I think the energy level, a new quarterback, I think there's something rolling there. NC State is still they're just floundering enough that they're going to have a hard time playing against Pitt at home. Up next, 7 o'clock on ESPN, Stanford at Miami. Ooh,
Yeah, Miami should roll. They're gonna rebound nicely from that loss.
yeah, watch out, Stanford. They may just want to pound you just to relieve some tension. Miami in that one. In Boston College at Louisville, that's a 7:30 game on the ACC network.
Yeah, go find something else to do with your evening. I think Louisville just splatters them.
Louisville, Louisville the winner in that game. Sorry, Boston College, you guys, you need to just totally rethink something in your athletic department there. I don't know what's going on there. You got a good head coach.
Hmm. I just don't know why it's fallen off all of a sudden.
Doesn't make any sense. All right. Make sure that you join Will. He's on TikTok on ACC Nation Net and posts and also on Will's World of College Sports. Is that right?
That's on Instagram.
It's on
Will's
Instagram.
World of College Sports on Instagram. Will's World MN on Blue Sky, Twitter, TikTok.
Okay.
So,
So anyway, he posts some great stuff on TikTok. So yeah, and also on Instagram.
mhm.
You want to check out ACC Nation? All you need to do is go to accnation.net. All of our social media stuff is at the very top of the page. Make sure that you check us out. Follow us on YouTube, on X, Blue Sky, Reddit, and a lot more. Love the fact that you join us here. And thank you so much. We will see you next time. Hey, and that's coming up very soon because we have a special guest coming our way. Going to be talking basketball. Yes, it's that time of year. That's up on the next program. So join us on ACC Nation. Until next time, cheers.
School.
ACC Nation, your source for ACC sports coverage with Will and Jim. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on our podcast, streaming radio, and YouTube. Connect with us on Blue Sky, Reddit, Instagram, Threads, Mastodon, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn.